Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson, blending survival fiction and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Chapter 31. After the intense flooding, the water receded, but nothing was the same. Buildings were ruined wrecks of their former glory, and debris and mud filled the gaps. Cole stood with Monroe and Chappie staring at the pile of lumber his home had become. The birds chirped happily, but Cole was crushed. Picking up a stone, Cole threw it at the bird in frustration. Trying to cheer him up, Monroe asked, "Does it count if your land is still there?" Mumbling a response, Cole replied slowly, "My house. It's gone." Lightening the mood, Chappie teased, "I'd say you could just run to Home Depot, but..." Monroe clasped Cole on the shoulder affectionately, explaining, "The town is still there. We have to take care of those people." Knowing the position they were in now, Cole fretted, "If the Mercs come, we're all refugees. We'd be rounded up." "We'd run. They'd never find us," Chappie assured him. Monroe smiled at him, shaking his head. He suggested, "Couldn't we have Ginger and Al speak for us?" Turning to walk back to the truck, Cole sighed. "We're dependent upon them?" With a broad smile, Monroe responded, "Welcome to our world, Virgis. We need to go back to McClintock and beg for our jobs back." Cole scowled at his suggestion, snapping a response. "Screw that. I'm not going to beg. I did what I did for the right reasons." "We were with you then, and we still are now. We'll figure this out," Monroe assured him. The men popped their heads up as the sounds of distant screaming and gunfire ignited through the peaceful song of the birds. "What the hell?" Cole wondered. "Let's go," Chappie fretted, running towards the truck. Closing the doors quickly, Cole started the engine and pushed the gas pedal to the floor. The townspeople were armed and packed into town. Al approached the truck as Cole brought it to a stop. "Virgis, we need you at the gate," Al explained urgently. "What's going on?" Cole wondered. "Refugees from Kingman. They're trying to invade the town. They're after our supplies," Al panicked. Knowing this situation could get out of hand very quickly, Cole directed the truck toward the gate. "There's something we didn't think about, Monroe," Cole chuckled at the irony. "Props to them for surviving that wave," Monroe commented. Cole nodded in agreement, explaining, "But if they take our supplies, we're done for sure." Chappie shook his head. "The refugees versus the landowners. Here we go again." The noise of gunfire sounded in sporadic bursts as Cole stopped the truck at the gate. Rydell approached quickly, his black hair dripping with sweat. "Virgis, this situation is about to get out of hand," he declared, ushering Cole towards the gate. A grubby, average-sized man stood on the other side. He insisted, "Give us your food or we're coming in to take it." Cole approached cautiously, knowing he needed to take control of the flow of this conversation immediately. "Let's just slow down, cowboy," he insisted. "Are you in charge here?" the man asked. "In this situation?" "Yes," Cole replied. "Sir, we need to eat. Our homes, our supplies, we lost it all," the man explained desperately. "Me too. We're not immune," Cole informed him. "But your town center survived. We know you have food there." "We have minimal supplies for the people of this community." "We have more people. We can overrun you," the man replied, gripping his rifle tighter. "And we can turn this whole encounter into a bloodbath where too many people are going to die over scraps," Cole explained, knowing the reality of the situation. "We don't want to see that any more than you do, but we need help," the man pleaded. Watching Monroe approach, Cole needed to figure out what they could do to help, and he needed to do it fast. There was no telling what the desperation these people felt would cause them to do. "Just hold on a second," Cole requested. The man was perturbed by the suggestion, insisting, "We have injured that need help." "1 second," Cole snapped, stepping away to talk with Monroe. Al says the strip mall at the upper end of town can be used for their injured. The refugees can camp on the other side. There's a good barrier there, Monroe explained. This situation is going to get bad quick, whether they stay or go. We don't have enough food, no matter how you slice it, Cole explained his concerns. The man on the other side of the gate grew impatient. He shouted at Cole, "We can shoot our way in!" The noise of weapons readying on both sides echoed through the air, and the bird's song halted as the tension increased. Cole shouted to both sides, "Okay, everyone, settle down." Then he addressed the man on the other side of the gate. "There's a small strip mall at the far east side of town. Your injured can go there. Everyone holds up on the other side. We'll bring medical supplies and help you care for the wounded. But you need to understand our stocks are very limited." A woman that stood close to the man leading the refugees whispered to him, "Peter." Peter looked perturbed by her interruption. He barked at her, "What, Barbara?" "We have to get Rebecca help." "Take the offer," Barbara urged. Overhearing her, Cole announced, "We'll figure out a plan, but let's get your people help and go from there." Agreeing with Cole, Barbara urged, "Peter." Peter rolled his eyes at Barbara, agreeing, "Okay, point the way, Mr. Cole Virgis." Cole finished his statement as he exited the gate with Monroe, Chappie, and Rydell. "Peter Valentine," the man said, introducing himself. Cole took inventory of the people and the number of stretchers they were carrying as he escorted them to the designated location. "Do you have medical personnel in your group?" Cole wondered. "2 doctors and 1 paramedic," Peter answered. Cole stopped walking for a minute, instructing Chappie, "Get the medics and coordinate with Dr. Kozlowskis and Graham." "We'll get it handled, sir," Chappie assured him, heading off to find the men he needed. They continued walking through the remnants of the old town until they approached the strip mall that Monroe told him about. "Here we are," Cole declared, showing Peter the location. "There's a fence in front of it," Peter noted. "We can take the injured in the back of the building, but yeah, the front was closed off as part of our barrier," Cole agreed. "That's some kind of warm welcome," Peter commented with a scowl. "Let's not get confused," Cole corrected him, knowing they would be tough-pressed to survive with the population they already supported. "We'll help the sick, but we need to develop a plan quickly. We cannot take all of you into our community." Cole watched a party of town delegates approach with Barry King as he finished his explanation. "Is everything under control, Virgis?" Barry wondered. "Barry King, this is Peter Valentine. He is the one speaking for these people," Cole explained, introducing the man. "What's left of Kingman?" Barry inquired. "What do you think?" Peter asked, bewildered. "The water just rose and rose. We went to high ground and floated out of town on debris." Barry scowled with concern. His heart ached for these people. "You understand we want to help, but—" "Your man Virgis already told me about your food situation," Peter replied, put off by their inability to assist. Knowing her boyfriend's short fuse, Barbara stepped in quickly. "We understand. Thank you for doing what you can." Cole wanted to aid these people as well. He pulled Barry aside. "We're going to have to help. Some of these people are already too thin." Barry nodded in agreement, but neither of them knew how to proceed. Thinking through options, Cole asked, "Monroe, do we have enough gas to get our trucks to Vegas?" Monroe nodded affirmatively. "We have enough for it, but we'll have to get more while we're there." Overhearing their conversation, Peter interjected, "Isn't there a FEMA camp there?" The crowd of people whispered quietly about the camp as Cole replied, "There is." "You could take us when you go," Peter suggested, causing the crowd to stir again. "We could take people there and bring supplies back to help everyone here," Cole added. "We couldn't move some people right now if we wanted to. Some of their injuries are very serious," Monroe said, looking across the crowd. "We need to mobilize as soon as possible," Cole fretted. "If we're going on a supply run, the least we could do is feed these people dinner. And we'll leave in the morning," Barry added, watching a couple of children fight over a piece of dried fruit. Peter knew what he wanted to do, but was unsure how the group felt. "I'll have to ask everyone what they want to do." Cole looked at Peter very seriously and explained, "They may not have a choice." "What do you mean?" "You think you're the only displaced people in this country?" Cole asked rhetorically as Chappie approached. "Where do you think all the people are going?" Peter looked at him, confused by his statement. "But it's a camp. It's our choice, right?" "Nope," Chappie interjected. "Government's been rounding up any refugees and giving them homes in the camps. The refugees work as labor to make essential supplies. They work for the factories or the farms," Monroe added to the explanation. "Forced labor?" Peter asked, concerned. "More like everyone must volunteer to rebuild." "I wouldn't worry too much," Cole assured him. "I saw Vegas myself. It's a refugee safe zone. Peter, the world is on fire." "We have to go there, Peter," Barbara pleaded. "What else are we going to do? If the government has a safe place for us to take Rachel, then let's go." "Will you just hush?" Peter snapped at her. "I'll go check it out and come back for you and Rachel." Barbara hung her head and didn't say anything more. "Monroe, find Ginger and get a food detail put together," Cole commanded, changing the subject. He didn't like how Peter responded to Barbara, and he could tell the man had probably beaten the woman in the past. "Yes, sir, one giant batch of the Monroe Special coming up," Monroe declared with a smile. Hello, and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 429, season 15, episode 31. Hey, Chin, what's up?
Hey, chin's up, y'all.
Happy 2024. Yeah.
You ready when you write those checks?
So we always play the game at the grocery store, like, what do you think the bill's going to be? And Brock's like, "Oh, it's going to be like $80. I'm like, "Oh, no, man, you're in Trump era. You got to use Bidenomics. We're talking like a $1.40,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it turns out to be like $140. I'm like, "See, I told you." He's like, "Man, we just a little cart."
See, things are so much better, Sarah.
I know. It's just so prosperous and beautiful. I just, it's going on. So hopefully we just, we continue on. But hopefully everybody had a Merry Christmas. Very nice celebration to our Lord and good times there. And then had a happy and safe New Year's celebration. I hate that saying where everybody's like, "Be safe," I'm always like, "Be free," but this is one moment where I would say hopefully it was a safe and a joyous celebration for you guys. I enjoyed the little break.
Yeah.
Little time off. Actually, what happened is I got a lot done on the audio drama. So it was like a break from one podcast to just put more energy into the other,
Another project.
Mm-hmm. And some video game playing. I'm not gonna lie. We've been playing a game called Fallout 4. And a lot of people might know what Skyrim is like to play. It's like that type of game, but it's all like post-apocalyptic, and man, it's a blast. You got to set up your little communities and trade routes and stuff. So yeah, I've gotten a little pulled into that game now and again.
But we're gonna have the changing Earth.
Yeah. Actually, on the download, nobody's listening to the Changing Earth podcast right
Just
now.
between you and me, Sarah.
But yeah, that's definitely in the works. So, getting a little design and got the ideas for it. So, hey, chat room's filling up. We got Garden Girl out there. I think I seen Intrepid Commander in the house. What?
My goodness.
I know.
He's eating some of that 3D printed steak on the grill.
Yeah, 3D printed steak on the grill. Yeah. Oh, he's saying, he never got into the Fallout. We got to find some time for that. Seriously, like, you'll get pulled into that game. I just, you just set a day aside here and there for that game. Don't try and do little stints. But fun stuff. All right, so I'll vomit the 3D printed steaks.
Squirrel.
Disgusting. So yeah, coming up April, end of April, last week of April. I know it seems like it's a long way away, but time will just start flying. I'll be out at the Patriot Conference in Illinois. So if you're in that area, get on out. Come see me. I'd love to see you. PBN. So Intrepid Commanders in the House. Pretty funny because I've got some. He's been doing these really cool workout schedules for the members newsletter. And what I really liked about him was he's putting in like shooting, dry fire practice, starting a fire, doing.
Yeah.
Instead of, I get up and I bang and clang every morning, 4 days a week, but I'm not thinking about like, oh, I should do dry fire practice. So I might do that.
Get the heart rate up and then try to keep it steady.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that too. No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But I might start implementing that kind of thing. Like make Friday. Sometimes I just sleep in and chill and don't do my workout in the morning. So maybe Friday will be like my activity where I do like the dry fire or I'm pretty good at starting fires. I'm just going to say I'm not going to toot my own horn or anything, but I guess I could practice like old school with like the rocks, trying to get it started that way. So
do it on a damp day.
Yeah, right, where you got to core out wood and stuff.
Figure a little more challenging than a dry.
That's legit. So if you guys aren't members over at PBN yet, go check that out. Really cool stuff that he's doing. I've always wanted to do like a monthly training program, but haven't gotten the time for like the workouts too. It's enough to get myself going. I've got great material, so maybe I'll give him some ideas on stuff he could roll out and advance the fighting skills a little bit. Because you got to keep fighting. You got to keep that bone density up, all that stuff. Keep the whole body moving. So, audio drama. So, you guys got to go get caught up. 1 to 12 is out now. So, if you haven't listened to the Change in Earth audio drama, season 3 is absolutely on fire. It is really great content. Huge shout out to all of the performers. If you guys want to see like who's playing what role, you can go on over to my website, check it out. But so many people they have really upped their performance level this season. Intrepid Commander amongst one of those. I mean, he's had some emotional scenes and just really knocked it out of the park. So great job to everybody. JB, thank you so much for helping me out with the audio crafting. It's really turning out very, very clean and well done. And we got some cool music programs for it to bring that to another element. So episodes 13 to 16, that'll be the final block. I would say end of January, probably. Maybe like about that. I'm going to say end of January it'll be ready to roll. And we'll do another bloopers episode, of course, before then. So that's always fun. You gotta love the bloopers episode. And then prepper camp tickets. Get them while they are hot, guys. They just go up in price.
The more you wait, the more you're going to pay.
That's right. So, Jane and Rick, spectacular people. It's just a completely unique event. And, come join our family reunion over there. A lot of people from PBN, a lot of the hosts are all there, and we'd love to see you guys out there.
If you've never been, get there this year, so next year it'll be your family reunion.
That's right. I just want to go. I want to do like a huge caravan from Texas. Like,
get them all.
Yeah. I know Ellen.
Up, mosey on in.
Yeah, Ellen's coming. She'll be there this year from Australia. So chance to meet her.
Yep. This will be her second year.
It'll be her second year. Yeah, she couldn't go last year because of the being out on ship. But yeah.
So if somebody can come twice from
Australia. Yeah.
Ain't nobody in our listening.
Yeah. Unless we do have a lot of listeners in New Zealand and overseas and that. So yeah, I guess, But
I don't know.
But if you're in
Australia's
if you're in the
far
States, you got no excuse, none. So yeah. And I even got it excused. Somehow I got my kid excused this year from school. They gave him excused absences because I let him know we were at prepper camp and it's this learning event and everything. And they literally excused his absences. So I don't know if your schools will be as benevolent, but yeah, I know. It was great. So they're really behind it, and the faculty knows what I do and all that. So yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it's pretty neat being in Texas. Telling you. So, alrighty. So we just listened to episode 31 of Virgis. I know it's been a while, but you guys might need to go back and refresh on what's going on there. But they had the big floods come in. We got the ocean level rising. Big wave comes and hits the whole East Coast. Yeah.
Getting rocks thrown at them.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so not only are they like crushed because they're barely surviving, but then here comes the refugees. And
Yep.
I think it's kind of funny that the focus of Virgis is really like that balance between like people who are trying to survive on what little they have left and not be overrun, and then the people who like don't have it and are overrunning. Because, gee, it sounds familiar with a lot of the migration patterns, right? So, imagine that, like, if, California kind of is emptying, but literally if that state had to empty and find, like, different places within, it would just be chaos. So, it's a very interesting take on looking at that. But, good chapter today. So we had topics all picked out, but it is the New Year's show. So we're going to just do a little pause on our staying with the book and talk about basics today. Going back to basics. Beginning of the new year, back to basics. I was thinking about my go bag today.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like 2 years since I went through my go bag.
Oh, wow.
I know. I did it like I got it just.
That granola bar is really crunchy now.
Exactly what I'm talking about, right? I also found out that.
I'm saying that I haven't been like out in the field or on a road trip or something.
Yeah, and eating one of those.
Starving, and reached into my go bag and took out one of those really crunchy.
Yeah,
but
like it's something, right?
Yeah.
But best to have like some fresh product in there, you might as well while you can. I also found out that female products, like, for that time of the month, they do actually have an expiration date on them. So they should be rotated out of your bag.
Well, like heat, cold, and everything else has got to take its toll, and friction, because stuff in the back of your car just vibrating down the road for year on end.
Yep. Yeah.
So
it is time to make sure that like that gets switched out. I was thinking also about like elastic products. Like you probably got some extra undies in there, right? It's probably.
Oh, you know what? So not like we wore face masks, but so we had face masks in the glove box.
Oh,
of the car.
Yeah.
And just went to switch out our registration cards, and the rubber band was like glued to the old registration card.
No.
So I'm like, so you're saying, rubber products and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Left in the car between the heat and the cold and the jostling around.
Right.
It doesn't last.
It's going to take its toll on it, Mm-hmm. And I don't always put like new stuff in there. So, I mean, I just put comfortable stuff in there. So, yeah, it's probably time to switch that out. Kids, right? I have a bag all put together for Christian.
In the car, you're not supposed to leave kids in the car.
What?
You're not supposed to leave your kids in the car.
Yeah, no. Not leaving kids in the car. But he's got his go bag, and it's all, it was like child appropriate to him. I did go through his last year. I go through his every year. Because how much of the stuff in there actually fits him now.
Right.
Like, oh, we're bugging out. Grab your go bag, and he's got Hot Wheel cars in there and underwear that don't fit. You know,
Hot waters.
yeah. So, those of us with kids, make sure that you're changing out their skivvies and whatnot, so things actually fit and are age appropriate. They mature a little more. I used to not allow him to have like knives and stuff in there. Now, obviously, he's
Now
to
you
the
have
level
friends, that provide that kind of stuff.
yeah, that have provided him with a whole knife collection now that he has lined up on his dresser with his Legos. Yeah. So, yeah, we're not quite to like allowing his firearm to stay near him, not till he's 18, Fletcher, though, but he's in charge of his own stuff. Now, once they're an adult, man, I'll be like, you didn't bring your own go bag? Oh, you're screwed. Have fun, kid. So, yeah, that was definitely one of the items that I was thinking of was like really priority beyond the trailer. The trailer needed some love this year. But, yeah, the go bag. A spring go bag, a clean out, and is your go bag waterproof? Have you ever tested it?
Show before.
What's that?
Yeah, we've done a talk in a show before talking about how you should go through seasonally.
Yes.
And,
yeah,
because summertime clothing is different than wintertime clothing.
Yeah.
So.
I try to make it like both. Because what if you were out for extended? I know you add weight in the summer, but like, yeah, I know. I try to make it neutral, though. Oh, it's rough. The waterproof, though. Like, how many people actually know if their go bag is waterproof?
Yeah.
I tell you what, that is a sucky lesson to learn when you are relying upon that bag, because it happened to me at prepper camp year 1.
I was going to say, come to prepper camp. We'll help you learn that lesson.
Yeah. Like living in Cali where they're like, you're not camping in any kind of rain. Go to North Carolina.
Even if it's not raining, the dew, you wake up and you're walking, your feet are soaking wet for the first walk across the field.
It was raining in my tent at prepper camp. So
condensation.
We were floating. Like, no, it was literally like rain. Well, it's true. It was the condensation, but it built up in there. So, give it a test.
Well, that is the thing over here on the East Coast is condensation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it was like
I was reading
serious. I
was reading an article because like, how do you stay dry in a tent? And I was reading an article, and they said don't camp on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't help.
Oh, I was reading recently that if you do like bowls of wood ash, it actually will absorb the moisture. So I'm not sure, like,
oh yeah,
you can put some wood ash, like a bucket of wood ash in there.
Those Dandex or Ridex or whatever those little things you put in the closets.
Right. You can put a bowl of wood ash like in your bathroom or whatever if it stays humid and stuff like that, and it'll help absorb the moisture.
For ash.
Yeah. Yeah, really good article. I think Prepper Dad Ryan shared that one. I was all over it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. You can put it in the fridge. You can use it for cleaning. You can all kinds of stuff, cleaning silver. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. If you want to still have Ryan's info, go ahead and hit up Prepper Dad on that one, because that was a great article. All right, what do you got for New Year?
New Year. Well, just like you were saying, you were talking clothes and foods, but I was like, all your electronics that you use for your preppers, you need to make sure your batteries are recharged in the electronics. You need to make sure your rechargeable batteries are all topped off. I also went and updated all my paper maps.
Oh, smart. Yeah.
It depends on how long since the last roads change, all that kind of stuff. So, updated my paper maps, road atlases in your car and your bug out bag, because if electronics aren't working or you don't have a cell signal or whatever, then you might have to depend on a paper map to guide you through. And then also, and the same thing with maps, you should have downloaded maps onto your electronics. So again, if cell service goes down, you can use your onboard maps to navigate, as opposed to losing.
Relying
So
on the
if
internet.
you do that, make sure those are updated as well.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
I haven't
So that's
updated
also
like my.
stuff
Well, that's
to
not
do.
true. We got a new one last year, but like my main map that I use, I think it's from like, oh geez, because I think it's from, oh my gosh, wow, I think it's from like 2011, dude. I'm not even kidding. Because I used it to do the Changing Earth to write.
Yeah, so that's a good time period to actually start. Well, like we have like AAA, so I just walk into AAA and say, "Hey, I need this date, this date, this date, this," and they just give me all the maps.
Oh,
so
la-di-da. I'll have to have you get me some. You ship them over,
right?
I can't be going in my State Farm shirt.
Yeah. So, but if you have resources like that, use it. Or if not, I mean, how much is a road map?
It's not bad. It's not bad.
I mean, all these nice truck stops and stuff.
What's the one website? It's like topomaps.com.
Yeah.
And it costs money if you have them print it, but if you have like a printing, like I have a snap, where you can grab the screen from your computer or grab certain areas, so you can just save those and print them. That's how I do tons of my research for my novels. So that's a good way to make it happen cheap. Know where your railroad lines are, because that's really important to know as well. Also, out here in Texas, uniquely, I mean, I haven't seen it so severely, they make channels for like where the electrical lines are. Like, I don't know whose property you're going to be booty crashing across and what kind of trouble you're going to be getting in there. But if you really had to like travel and use something to travel down, the electrical line,
it's all like cleared and
they have some serious channels for their electrical lines here. So no wildfires happening from that. Not out here. My other thought was garden plans. Like, I know many people are in the northern part of the country and that, but down here in the south, it starts coming quick. So even if you are in the north, you could do your starters pretty soon. You're going to have to start planning for that so you have the jump on the season. And so, like, right now, especially beginning of February, I've got to start thinking my garden. My peach tree comes in April. So things happen fast down here. So that I definitely needed to start thinking about, like, my specific garden plans. Am I going to have my secondary, give it another go? I've been throwing chicken poo at it all for a while and trying to get that soil together. So, like, am I going to give it another go? And then the starters and all that. So it's a good time to start thinking about planning for that. And seeds can be expensive, right? You still want to buy new seeds every year, even if you're using your old ones up so that you rotate your stock, because you definitely want to have stock of seeds at least 2 to 3 years. But they can get expensive too. So if you can do little buys of it, you'll be better off. So you could start buying them now while they're cheaper, rather than waiting for planting season and then everybody's looking for them. So, garden plans.
Yeah, that falls. Like, now is a good time to actually sit down at the kitchen table and start thinking about your finances, like your job. What are you doing for your career? You know what I mean? For like this year, what are your goals for your career? I had
not yearly
goals,
goals.
just like you said. But not goals. I'm not saying goals. But if you could think about do you have any big projects coming? Like, depending, I don't know what your job.
Well, that I can't plan on harvesting.
I don't know
my
what everybody
tree.
listening to us does for a job, but there might be, like, if I can get this certificate this year, I can get a raise, or I can get a promotion, or I can start doing something that I like better than what I'm doing now. I'm pushing carts at the grocery store, but if I can do whatever, then I can start working at the cash register at the deli, and that's a little more enjoyable than being out pushing carts.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you might want to think and plan and strategize now.
Yep.
Like you were saying about the garden.
Yeah.
Break out a calendar and start marking dates that need to get stuff done instead of being, oh crap, I was it's warm and I was supposed to have this done already. Mm-hmm. Just get a calendar out and a notebook out and start jotting down dates and things need to get done, like cleaning out the gutters and just some stuff, and plan out your year.
Yep.
Make
like
a
for
fitness
me,
plan. Health and fitness.
It's the spring planning is going on. Yep. The health and fitness. Yep. Or not the spring, the winter crops, right? Go in right about now. Mm-hmm. Like broccoli, stuff like that. So it's like, okay, if you're not thinking about that stuff, now you miss the window. Yeah,
take the opportunity now. We're out of the holiday season, and everybody's on this like high, coming off this high of all this activity, and take the next couple of weeks to kind of be proactive for 2024 and get your year kind of laid out.
Yep.
And you'll get more done, and it'll be a much more productive year if you're not being reactive all the time, mm-hmm. and you actually take a little time up front to be proactive. And that's, like I said, about your job, about your garden, about house maintenance, about health and fitness. Do I have to get a couple am I at that age where I got to get a couple things done this year?
Right. Well,
at the
any
doctors,
age you need to get. Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Are there certain things that the family, like, is there a graduation or a wedding or a anniversary, like a major, my parents going to have a major anniversary, or, just kind of start thinking about all the,
put that in your Google calendar. Then you're not scrambling.
What does it have?
Yeah.
Yeah, and plan ahead, and that'll give you time to plan ahead.
Okay,
and vacations.
Since we're talking,
I had on that list vacations.
Since we're talking, vacations don't happen, but seminars do. They're like mini vacations, even though I'm working. Yeah. But since we're on the topic of like goals and businesses, I know a lot of us are entrepreneurs out there, and we were talking about this pre-show. So the government this year has decided that any small LLCs need to register with FinCEN this year, which is a new government database for everybody who runs an LLC, which is very, very disturbing. Of course, there's a fee associated with it. If your business is already in place before 2024, you have a year to register. And if you're a new business, you have to register within 30 days. And this is not like your business's location. This is the owner's address, driver's license numbers, birth dates, all the stuff of the owners of that LLC. And if you move, you have to report that to FinCEN within 30 days. And I'm sure there's a fee associated with that as well.
Is there something... Now, I need your help on this one, sir. Wasn't there... I think as a child, I remember hearing somebody say something, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness or something.
Right? Is this ringing any bells? It's absolutely ridiculous. So
that must have been a movie or some fictional.
Anybody that has an LLC in place, we need to be talking to our Congress people, like writing letters and being like, no, stop the FinCEN. So if you haven't heard about it, check it out because it's legit. And it's really disturbing. It's horrible. They're not requiring any of the big businesses to do it. It's just small businesses. So yay for our government giving us another control mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. Okay, that was supposed to be last on my list, but since...
And not even... Okay, it's bad enough.
That is across the country. Garden Girl had asked. Yeah, it is across the country. That is a federal program.
It's also another thing, another red tape that you got to process that takes you away from being productive.
Exactly.
Above and beyond the Microsoft that it puts you under. Okay, still, there's only 24 hours in a day. And now you got to do extra work and not get paid extra money and all this other stuff.
And you're a small business owner juggling 80 million things all at once.
Yep.
So let's throw another one on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely just horrible stuff. So Trump, this had come across Trump's desk when he was in office. He vetoed it. It went back to the Senate, and they decided to put it into law. So that is not anything that Trump or Biden did. That is our Senate and our Congress passed that law. Yeah. I was watching, there's a Glenn Beck episode all about it. He has this really good financial gal that comes in and just, she's like, I'm just lagging because hopefully we can raise enough stink across the country to be like, no, repeal this thing immediately. This is no. And it's supposed to be for like transparency to stop money laundering. Well, FinCEN is the one that supposedly got Hunter Biden. And like, what's been done about that? Yeah. So
They sneak to the White House so he doesn't have to do anything.
yeah. But I'm sure if you're not the correct political affiliate, then it wouldn't be so great for you. It's disgusting, man. Disgusting. Land of the free. All right, last one on my list. I'm going to jump out of negative zone. That's why I hate talking politics, especially on the show. We try to be like a little bit more positive, even though we are dealing with, post-apocalyptic information. But this is like about hope for the future and trying to get everybody smiling and prepared to go. So I try to stay away from that stuff. Sorry, it's just that one. Oh, yeah, I can't. Okay, so last thing on the list, supplies. Rotate that stock.
Yep.
Know what's going on with it. Don't just, store it and forget it. Food. Guess what? We were talking about this in the opening. Prices are still going up. So any kind of food investment that you can make today is going to be worth it in the future. But
if you're proactive and you rotate your stock, you won't have the waste.
Yes.
Like going through your prep stock and like, oh crap, this is like 5 years old.
This is no good
I don't
anymore.
know if I want to dare open it.
Right.
Well, if you're rotating it and you're checking on it, then you just eat it. Put it into your kitchen pantry and eat it.
Exactly. Yeah. Let it
the
move.
new stuff in your prepper pantry.
Got it. Yeah, it's time. It's time to bring that out, dust some off, make sure everything's good.
Check the dates.
The other thing is ammo. So now I've heard that even powder for reloading is getting harder and harder to come by. So, little bit here, every little bit you can is going to pay off in the long run. And you still need ammo for practicing too. So, I mean, you got to get out there and make it happen. So, that's a big one as well. I guess like learning to make a bow and arrows would be good. But it's just time. We do a lot of stocking, I'm going to add that to my stock this year. I'm going to add this. I'm going to add that. Well, every once in a while, we need to make sure that even munitions do go bad. So rotating those out, making sure that you're, practicing with your older ammunition and storing away your newer ammunition.
Yep.
Even though they might look really cool. Alrighty. So some of them are neat. They're pretty. I'm sorry, I'm a girl too. I've got like a necklace that's all the back ends of shotgun shells. And my earrings are like 22. The little ends of 22. So yeah, you gotta accessorize. I'm gonna get you accessorizing, Jen.
I have a chain of Christmas lights that are all shotgun shells.
Oh, nice! Bringing
nice.
it. Yeah, I need that for my
neck
tree.
is red, like shotgun shells, 12 gauge Christmas lights.
Serious. I need that on my tree. Yes. I'm in need. All right. I've got a lot of Changing Earth news. I've been researching my little fanny off today and taking notes on my break. So let's go ahead and jump into the Changing Earth news. Okay, so before our break, Cyclone Jasper was moving in on Australia. Well, it hit Australia hard, northern Australia. They had some flooding, and then the crocodiles, they had crocodiles like in swimming pools and stuff because the crocodiles can move around in the flooding. So that hit northern Australia pretty good. So we're all the way back to like December 18th on that one. But there was some good stuff that happened along the way. So I'm just going to do like brief overview till we get up to the week that we're on. Charleston, South Carolina had some flooding right there before Christmas.
They always have flooding.
That's what everybody says. Like Huntington Beach got hit with this massive wave.
Yeah.
So saw the East Coast lighten up. Brazil, same thing, severe flooding down in south. India got hit pretty hard in Tamil Nadu. They had some severe flooding there, just massive amounts of rain coming down just all at once. But on the 18th, the earthquake hit China. There was a 6.2 earthquake. It was only 10 kilometers deep. It killed about 148 people in total that we've heard of. You know how news is out of China. But there was some severe damage to Gansu. Thousands of people were out in the cold. They've been having very, very cold conditions there in China. So that was a pretty major earthquake to hit them. And, those effects are going to be long lasting. And then in the middle of winter, which is also really challenging to deal with. Indonesia saw some flooding in northern Sumatra. They had massive flooding, just rivers overflowing out of the mountains. There was a 6.0 earthquake in Peru. Luckily, it was a remote area as opposed to the one that hit China, so that wasn't as bad. Still a really good sized earthquake, the 6.0. Right outside of Cape Town in South Africa, they had a massive forest fire. So I have been finding it very interesting how the extremes happen, and they can happen in such close geographical area. So we have the massive wildfire. They were just dealing with massive flooding not long ago. So it's crazy to see how close that can happen, just change from one season to the next. Russia had a huge traffic backup across like the half of the country due to the blizzard conditions there. And Saudi Arabia in the Yandu industrial area, there was massive flooding. Luckily, that's a remote area. But if you go look at the Saudi Arabia flooding pictures, that happened on the 21st. Just really incredible to see the whole desert, basically, just flowing with water. It's a different... We have sandy loam here. It's like the soil when it's so sandy, and then to see the water like flowing across the sand gets really, really crazy. So that was really neat to see. Remote area again, so not a lot of damage there. There was a 5.9 earthquake near Tacapilla, Chile. On the 22nd, Merapi erupted again in Indonesia, or Merapi. They call it in Indonesia. The volcano erupted again. China has also had massive snowstorms on the Shandong Peninsula, setting snowfall records there. So they've been having just these really, really cold conditions. 22nd, there was a 6.3 offshore of the Aleutian Islands up in Alaska. Another big quake. No tsunami threat coming out of that one. But Southern California did see flash flooding and tornado warnings just due to storms moving in. On the 23rd, Iceland, we had talked a lot about the Iceland volcanoes and what they were doing. Iceland volcano did finally start erupting near that town they were clearing to, make sure everybody stayed safe. But the lava flow is not threatening the town. So some of the villagers are returning home at this time. Up in Mongolia, the herders are being displaced by one of the worst droughts in centuries. So again, these extremes, you have these blizzard conditions, record snowfalls happening just south of Mongolia, and then up in Mongolia, you have drought conditions. The herders are having to go into city life and whatnot because they just don't have the water to be able to feed their animals and maintain their nomadic lifestyle. On the 24th, there was a 4.1 earthquake in Seattle. There was also another one in Hawaii, and there was a 4.3 in Panama and a 6.3 in Taiwan. Sydney, Australia has been getting smashed by storms. That storm on the 24th actually killed one lady. She was walking a child with a stroller and she was hit by lightning. So that's a pretty major event, but they've been just getting walloped storm after storm after storm there. Germany is also seeing some major flooding, causing strong surges. That's still happening pretty much through right now. So they've been in the trenches for a while. Argentina was hit with a major hailstorm, and Brazil got hit with huge dust storms. So again, you got northern parts of Brazil seeing these dry conditions where it's causing dust storms, and you've got southern Brazil seeing this significant flooding that they've been having for a while going on. On Christmas Day, Bangkok, Thailand experienced heavy flooding. Tens of thousands of people were affected by that event. Campi del Fuego in Spain, Italy, is still making noise. That is that massive super volcano over there. And so we're definitely keeping an eye on that one. Still making noise, still looking like it's going to have an eruption. So it did erupt like back in the 80s. Wasn't so significant of an eruption, but with like 500,000 people living right around that volcano, you really got to keep an eye on it. And it is a super volcano. So this is like Yellowstone with 500,000 people surrounding it. Malaysia is also having major flooding. 25,000 people displaced, had to leave their home due to that flooding. Storm Garrett came through and smacked the UK. 90-mile-an-hour winds up there, hit Scotland and the UK really hard. They saw a tornado from that event. And then the rain just kind of continued there in the UK. On the 31st, they actually had to shut down the Eurostar, which just stranded people. That's like the major public transit in and out of London. So that was a big to-do there. Massive waves hit California coastline. They've been seeing some major storm surges out there, but this one specifically on the 29th was in Huntington Beach. It injured 8 people in that event. Papua, Indonesia got hit with a 6.2 earthquake. That was a very significant earthquake. I'd assume that Australia is mobilizing to help them out with that one. Luckily, they handle it a little bit better than like China does because they see more events like that. But again, a very significant earthquake on the radar. On the 31st, there was an X-class solar flare that released from the sun. Luckily, it was not Earth-directed. It just had a glancing blow. So if you notice people just really start wigging out, on the 2nd or 3rd, we did have a lot of solar energy from that event coming at us. There was a 5.1 earthquake in Bosnia-Herzegovina on the 31st. And then on the 1st, there was 548 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 7.5 in Japan. They did issue a tsunami warning. The tsunami did hit. So they saw massive waves at their coast. As of right now, that death count is up to, I think, 100 people killed, 250 people still missing from that earthquake in Japan. And there was a really cool story about a 90-year-old woman who was pulled out of the rubble 5 days after the earthquake alive. So, wow. Right? She's like, oh man, I've gone through worse than that, I love that. I just love those survival stories, and I just...
Give me a shot of beer. I'm ready.
Yeah, right? So, prayers to everyone in China, Japan, and in Indonesia who've been infected by these really big earthquakes we've been seeing. When we get that kind of solar activity from the sun, we tend to see some things happening on Earth, and not just on Earth. So Mars, supposedly Mars, the dead planet, right? Well, ever since the magnetic sheeting that I've talked about, that you can learn about on Suspicious Observers, ever since it's gone by Mars, that planet has woken up. We're now seeing dust storms there. They're talking about active volcanoes there. We've definitely seen earthquake activity there. So how cool is that when we were all taught as kids, oh, this is a dead planet, it's just a rock, yada, yada, yada. And now we get to witness it like actually waking up. It's really cool.
Are we going to have to do a second podcast every week, The Changing Mars?
The Changing Mars. It is so cool to watch. I'm not even kidding. Like, if imagine it just starts making like atmosphere, and oh, it'd be so cool. So on the 2nd, there was 527 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was another 5.4 in Ishikawa, Japan. Okay, same spot where they just had the 7.5. It gets smacked again. There was also a 4.1 in Southern California in Rancho Palos Verdes. On the 3rd, there was 509 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 5.5 in in Argentina. There was a rare 1.7 earthquake that rattled New York City. So people thought there was like another explosion or something happened, right? And it was just a rare earthquake in New York City. I can't remember specifically one day, but I remember seeing it come up. There was also a small earthquake that happened on the Michigan-Canada border. So that's really unusual areas. Cyclone Alvaro is tracking over Madagascar. This is a tough one. Mount Luo Tobi erupted in Indonesia. They had to evacuate thousands around that volcano, so it's really active down there. In Tatura, Australia, they were hit with a huge hailstorm on the 3rd. And then on the 4th, we had 520 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 5.6 in Tonga. Denmark got completely smashed by a snowstorm, blizzard conditions, very, very cold up there, as to be expected. But it was a good storm and one of note. So on the 5th, there was 507 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was another one in Japan, same spot of 5.2. So it's just been crazy over there. The temperature has dropped over most of the United States of America, and we have 2 major storms converging, one coming in from the south and one coming in from the west. The west is already getting snow and more rain, which Southern California really doesn't need at this point. They've been getting hit about all week from those events. In Belgium, there was a tornado that tore through these stables. Luckily, nobody was injured, but pretty cool footage of the earth in motion. And then Las Vegas was hit by a hailstorm as well. Yesterday, on the 6th, there was 477 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.6 in Carlsberg Ridge. So I didn't even know this country existed, but it is an island that is east of Africa. So that was the biggest earthquake of the day down there. And heavy flooding continues in Germany. The farmers are scrambling to try and save their crops for this year with all of this severe weather coming in. Lots of stories on, just year-end wrap-up stories and how much damage was done to Italy and Spain and how much damage has been done by severe weather across the whole globe. So very interesting. You guys got to be prepared. You got to stay ready for these events because it's not going to slow down as our planet goes into this next cycle of activity. On the 7th, that's today, there was 422 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.7 in the Balleny Islands, another place I had no idea even existed, but that is an island that is south of Australia. Another week of extreme weather forecasted for the U.S., so everybody stay warm. There's going to be power outages, that kind of thing. So stay ready for that type of event happening. Flooding is continuing in Europe. So if your lights are on there, guys, be prepared. Stay ready for what's happening with your storms there. Hopefully you get some reprieve here pretty soon. And then a tornado ripped through Fort Lauderdale, Florida. A tornado in January in Florida. Okay. I was like, I've been studying the earth for a while. And even beyond that, I never remember hearing a lot about tornadoes in the wintertime, let alone tornadoes in Florida. And they've gotten hit with like 6 of them this year. It's insane. And tornadoes on mountaintops this year, which is also insane and very strange. So, interesting year. I might do tomorrow next week, since I won't have so much wrap-up stuff to do. I might pick out one of the articles, that's like the biggest weather events of this year. I mean, we've had some extreme earthquakes that we can talk about and all kinds of stuff like that. So that would be fun for me. As of right now on our sun, things were pretty calm today. We do have an area coming in to be earth facing that is some really big sunspots, so we have to keep our eye on. You just don't know how they could react. And the interesting thing about the sun is it could be like, boop, and then 8 hours later, you have no more power forever. So when was the last day you have to prepare, right? That's Dave Jones. When was yesterday the last day I had to prepare? So legitimately, it's something to keep your eye on. And Ben over at Suspicious Observers does a show every morning to let us know what's going on. So props to him for doing all that work. There is also a plasma filament that's associated with those sunspots. So a lot of times if the sunspots get active, those plasma filaments can blast off. They're just as harmful as any kind of CME. So we're definitely have eyes on that. Right now on planet Earth, there are 25 volcanoes actively erupting. There are 17 showing minor activity, and there are 32 showing unrest. So as far as actively erupting, that's down 2 from last show 2 weeks ago. It is up 3 on the minor activity and up 2 on the unrest. So we've actually added 3 to our list, even though we have less actively erupting right now. And after all the earthquake activity that we've been seeing in Japan and Indonesia, I bet we're going to see some more volcanic activity happening there. As far as wildfires in the United States of America, we have no states reporting any fires. So, yay. Yeah, right? It's a good one. It's wintertime here. It better be that way. So, all right. So there is your catch up. I know that was a lot. I felt like the Micro Machines guy. I'm out of breath. I'm going to take a nap now. Yeah, I know. I've got like 8 projects to take care of once I'm done with my podcast. It just doesn't stop. But I missed you guys. I missed doing the show. I missed talking to everybody in the chat room. I missed my Chininator. So I'm happy to be back here and get to spend the time with y'all. Always a good time. So, alrighty. We'll go ahead and wrap it up. Next week, we'll have chapter 32 of Virgis. And, we'll keep the shows interesting and fun. And we'll be having a good time on Changing Earth. Even if 2024 is falling apart around us. So, we'll just see.
Be the band playing on the Titanic.
Right? Keep praying. I'll be the ones praying on the Titanic for sure.
There you go.
Say your prayers. God can do anything and he can take us out of any kind of problems. So we just have to unite together. Stay strong. Alrighty, guys. Until next time, remember, dream,
survive,
thrive.
Thank you for joining Sarah and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, Battle for the South, Dark Days in Denver, and The Endless Night at www.authorsarahfhathaway.com. If you love the Changing Earth series and podcast, become a supporter while you're there.